Sue Bird says fans were racist toward WNBA players before Caitlin Clark. She's being used as a pawn. Clark recently said fans spewing racism against her opponents has been a real disservice to the people in our league, the organization, and the WNBA. Sue Bird is calling out the racism permeating through the WNBA fandom and defending Caitlin Clark amid ongoing discussions about fans slinging racist remarks towards the league's black players. Clark, 22, has been at the center of discussions about racism in women's basketball since her college days, when her on-court rivalry with Angel Reese began making headlines late in the 2023 NCAA tournament, and some fans on social media began hurling racist remarks towards Reese. The issue has carried over into the WNBA, both as Clark and Reese's basketball rivalry continued throughout their rookie season, and as Clark has shared physical play with other WNBA players on the court, most recently during a game when Dejounte Carrington poked Clark in the eye, and Clark later elbowed Carrington in the head. After the Connecticut Sun eliminated Clark and the Indiana Fever from the WNBA playoffs, Sun forward Alyssa Thomas and head coach Stephanie White slammed fans for sending racist messages toward their team on social media. "It's been a lot of nonsense," Thomas told reporters after the series earlier this week. "I think that in my 11-year career, I never experienced the racial comments like from the Indiana Fever fan base." But on the most recent episode of Bird's A Touch More podcast with her fiancé and former U.S. women's national soccer team star Megan Rapinoe, the four-time WNBA champion says she believes racism has existed within the WNBA's fan base long before Clark entered the league earlier this year. "Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year," Bird tells Rapinoe. "This is not a new thing. In that way, I think Caitlin is being used as a pawn. Caitlin didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening. And that, I think, has been a shock for all of us. That other people are surprised by this. We've been trying to tell you." Related, Serena Williams encourages Caitlin Clark to continue doing what she's doing and avoid critics. Never miss a story. Sign up for People's free daily newsletter to stay up to date on the best of what People has to offer, from celebrity news to compelling human interest stories. Last week, Reese drew a line and said messages being sent to players that include anything beyond criticism about playing the game we love is wrong. Related, WNBA players slam commissioner for not condemning fan racism in interview about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Angel Reese laughs at Taylor Swift and Caitlin Clark fans and sends them a resounding message. Meet Iowa transfer tasked with replacing Caitlin Clark in an enviable task. Incoming transfer Lucy Olson was one of the best scorers in college basketball last season for Villanova and now must replace the legendary Caitlin Clark at Iowa. The Iowa women's basketball team is facing a Caitlin Clark-size hole for the 2025 season. The NCAA's all-time leading scorer averaged a stunning 31.6 points and 8.9 assists for the Hawkeyes last season as they marched to their second consecutive title game. Enter senior transfer Lucy Olson from Villanova. Olson ranked third in the nation with 23.3 points per game last season, behind only Clark and Juju Watkins of USC. The Villanova transfer understands the unenviable task in front of her, but doesn't plan on replacing anyone. "I'm not going to be a Caitlin Clark," Olson said. "There's not going to be another Caitlin Clark. She's amazing, and she's done such great things here. I think she's definitely paved the way to how hard you should work, what expectations there are, and what type of program this." Clark led Iowa to a 29-4 record in the NCAA championship game last season, scoring 30 points or more on 22 occasions, and a career best of 49 against Michigan. She isn't the only key Hawkeye to graduate. Starting point guard Gabby Marshall is gone along with current Las Vegas Aces forward Kate Martin. Coach Lisa Blutta left and was replaced by longtime assistant Jan Jensen. The team will return starters Hannah Stolka and Sydney Falter in addition to key reserves Addison O'Grady and Kylie Farbach. Stolka, the team's second leading scorer, was effusive in her praise for Olson. Caitlin Clark's request gets ignored as Gabby Marshall reignites special bond with former Iowa teammate. With the Indiana Fever knocked out of the WNBA playoffs by the Connecticut Sun, it's chill time for Caitlin Clark. From taking to the lush greens with her boyfriend, Connor McCaffrey, for a game of golf to reviewing drinks at the local Swig Drinks with Fever teammate Lexi Hull, the unwind schedule goes hard. But does an Iowa Hawkeyes reunion fit in her off-season plans? Or maybe an Iowa x Fever crossover? On Friday night, Las Vegas Aces Kate Martin ex-Iowa CA. At the heart of the team's future are two young superstars, Clark and Aaliyah Boston, both former #1 picks. Clark, whose scoring and playmaking earned her Rookie of the Year honors, averaged 19.2 points per game, matching the production of veteran guard Kelsey Mitchell. Angel Reese confirms what she was hiding after shooting down pregnancy claims. Courtney Williams' childhood story perfectly sums up Minnesota Lynx star. Boston emerged as a dominant force in the paint, giving Indiana a dynamic inside-out presence. Beyond these core pieces, Indiana must address its complementary talent and players who could be in different jerseys next year. Tane and Iowa alum Gabby Marshall, who is pursuing her master's degree from North Carolina, reunited after a long time. After Martin picked up her former teammate from the airport, they headed straight to school to surprise Iowa junior, Jada Giamfi, who teared up on seeing them show up at her door unannounced. On coming across this heartwarming video on Marshall's TikTok, fans were left wanting more with Caitlin Clark in the picture as well. While that is yet to pan out, the Indiana star made a remote The Indiana Fever will look to build on Caitlin Clark's WNBA Rookie of the Year campaign next season during free agency in hopes of assembling a roster capable of advancing further than their first-round playoff exit this year. The Fever finished the season with a balanced 20-20 record and will need reinforcements to win a title. The Fever claimed third place in the Eastern Conference and made the playoffs, an achievement as they made their first postseason appearance since 2016. But after being swept by the Connecticut Sun in the first round, the Fever know they need to add pieces to help Clark steer the ship to victory. Appearance a few hours later, when Marshall and Giamfi went live on TikTok, presumably from the latter's dorm room, Clark showed up in the comments, asking them to add Lexi Hall. While Marshall pinned her comment, the request went unfulfilled as Hull made no appearance. WNBA make 3 major changes in wake of Caitlin Clark's success. From a business standpoint, the WNBA has just wrapped up its most successful season in league history, largely due to the arrival of star newcomers Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. But some changes are on the way. League Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is steering the WNBA towards converting this popularity into increased revenue. The league recently brokered a new $2.2 billion, $200 million per year media rights agreement with Disney, Amazon, and NBC.